everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Detour podcast, hosted by yours truly. My name is Freddie P. And I just want to talk to everyone a little bit about the software engineering career and kind of where we are now, uh, the state of our career in 2025. Once again, just to give everyone an update, I am a software engineer turned engineering manager for the past 25 years. I've been in software pretty much the entire length of my career. I have not done any other jobs other than software. And for the past, last time I said 5 to 7 years, but I recalculated that and it actually turns out the last 10 years I've been in management, which doesn't feel that way because it feels like I was spent most of my time building applications than managing people. Maybe I wasn't the best manager back then because I was focused so much on maintaining my ability to write code, that I may have neglected some of my managerial duties. That's not the case anymore. I want to say over the past 5 to 6 years, it's been strictly management. I have not been writing any code. And believe me, if you don't use it, you lose it. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm a hell of a leader. Many times, companies have put me on teams that maybe were kind of struggling to get going, or maybe they needed to still prove themselves, and I've been able to build them up to be strong teams. And so that's how I know I'm good at uh, setting people up for success. So that's me. Once again, I want to get into the discussion today that's kind of keeping most of us up at night, especially if you're like I am, 25 years in, and maybe looking for another way to make a living. There's actually two topics that I want to bring up today. One is the concept of the golden handcuffs and what that means, and the other one is it's kind of similar to the golden handcuffs, but it's a lot more dark and sinister, and that is the tech layoffs, specifically the layoffs that are happening now in 2025. I've been through a few rounds of layoffs back in, I want to say 2001 when the dot coms just kind of busted, and then uh, 2008 when the real estate bubble crashed, and then just recently, I want to say starting in 2022 on up to now, just I've also been a victim of layoffs during this time frame. I'm gainfully employed now, I will say, but you can kind of tell now when it's coming, and I can tell you now it's coming. So those are the two topics I wanted to discuss today. Now, the first one being golden handcuffs. Sounds nice, right? Um, but it sounds nice, but sometimes it makes you feel a little stuck. So you're stuck. Maybe you hate your job, or maybe you're just unsatisfied, or it's not very fulfilling. But man, does it pay well? Pays more than you've ever made in your life. So you're definitely hesitating on making the jump to another company or another career or going self-employed, what have you. So maybe you're worried that no matter how secure your position seems, a layoff might be right around the corner. So the whole golden handcuffs and the tech layoffs kind of go hand in hand. So let's break it down a little bit. So what are golden handcuffs? Essentially, they're high-paying tech jobs that are often seen as the ultimate goal. But what happens when you feel, I don't know, trapped by the salary? Maybe many developers stick around in jobs that they no longer enjoy because maybe the pay and the benefits are just too good to leave. Maybe you have responsibilities. You have bills and you have a family. You have to maintain this lifestyle for them. Maybe you're afraid of starting over and starting a new career or a new company. Maybe you feel that, in this particular role where you have the golden handcuffs, you feel your skills are maybe a little too specialized for any type of switch, whether it be a career switch or a company switch. And of course, like always, you've probably built a lifestyle that requires that current income level. All these things apply to me. I check all these boxes here. So I can relate to every single one of these. Specifically, the fear of starting a new career and thinking that maybe my skills are not only too specialized for a career switch, but also maybe outdated. Again, I haven't been writing code for many years. I've been in management, so it's been difficult for me to um, transition back into independent contributor because it's changed so much. So, what are the risks of staying versus leaving? So you have the fear of leaving a well-paid tech job. That is real. It's definitely a fear. It probably causes a lot of paralysis, and people don't really want to move because you know it hurts to lose that source of income, especially if you're the main breadwinner in the house. People depend on you, to put food on the table and a roof over their heads. So it's definitely something that I understand when people hesitate to make any changes, any significant changes to that lifestyle. But it also, like, that financial security and that familiarity, those good benefits. It also leads to a lot of stress. It also leads to a lot of burnout. It may even lead to career stagnation. Like, again, you're paralyzed. You don't want to move because, or you can't move. Not that you don't want to, but you literally cannot move. A meeting will end and you will sit there and just stare off into space because you're not really sure what to do next. So that's if you stay. So what happens if you leave? What happens if you leave that good paying job with the golden handcuffs and the familiarity and the good benefits? Well, when you leave, you have uncertainty. You have a potential pay cut. Let's say you're probably going to be making 20 to 30% less, if not half of what you used to make. You're kind of starting from the bottom. The company, if you're lucky, you could kind of do a lateral move. But if you were to do a lateral move, you're probably going to spend some time unemployed because you're kind of waiting for that lateral move. It doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Then there's the fear of the career pivot. Like, okay, I was managing these projects at my previous job, or working on, not managing. I'll say I was a tech lead for these particular projects on my previous company, and I was good. I was good at that particular type of project, whether it be front or back end. Maybe it was a particular vertical that you were specializing in. You definitely had a lot of information. Let's say you were working in agriculture, and you started to build um, that vocabulary and started to build that understanding, that deep understanding of the agriculture industry. Are you going to leave all that behind and move on to, I don't know, entertainment industry where you're going to have to start over? You might even miss some of that agriculture conversation that you once had. Maybe you appreciated the fact that you were helping people, grow food, and now you're helping people watch Netflix. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. Maybe that doesn't feel good. Maybe you're more fulfilled in the previous um, position. So that pivot is not easy. I understand. But what else do you get from leaving? You also get a renewed purpose and a better long-term satisfaction, most likely, because you don't feel stuck anymore. You don't feel that you've hit the ceiling and you're really just kind of rotting away until you die. So those feelings are gone. So we have golden handcuffs syndrome now. I say we, but I really mean me, but I'll go ahead. We're having a conversation here, so we'll say we. Um, we have our golden handcuffs. We have a situation where we're familiar with what we're doing, um, but there's something pulling at us, and it feels like there's more. But we have to put food on the table, a roof over everyone's head. So we're essentially, unfortunately, stuck. And that's if this other thing doesn't happen. That other thing that I wanted to talk about is the tech layoffs that are happening more frequent. Um, Staying might not even be a choice for some engineers and some managers. I'll say in particular my situation and in the previous situation where this also happened, there's a new boss or new manager or maybe even a new layer of management that didn't exist last year. Maybe you had a safe job last year and now you have a new layer of management, and they did this whole reorganization, restructuring. And now you have a new boss, and you're watching this person just go from department to department, and they're just not cutting half of the workforce, but definitely cutting a couple significant people. Maybe those people were I mean, I know those people, and they were not underperformers. They were just probably stuck in their ways. Maybe they were a little too vocal about these changes. Who knows what happened in those conversations? But all I know is I receive an email saying this person no longer works here, or this group of people no longer work here, and the whole division has been restructured, and this person is in charge now. You're like, wow, that was fast. But then now that same layer of management is now reviewing your division, and they're talking with you about your projects, and they want you to do these presentations to explain everything that you've been working on for the past year or two, and the successes that you've had, and the risks that you're facing. And really, it feels like you're justifying your worth. Been through this before, and I think it doesn't really matter what your worth is. It matters, um, obviously, how much they can save if they were to go without you, and it also matters if somebody else was able to do not necessarily what you do, but at least a portion. Maybe they can split your responsibilities in two, and kind of, you know, give half of it to, maybe somebody who reported to you once, and then the other half of it goes to your director, and then they kind of split your work. Never works out in the end, but it definitely looks good on a balance sheet. So it looks like a successful management restructure. So in my particular situation, I see the writing on the wall, and I see it's coming. It's coming for the folks on my division. So I have to unfortunately be prepared to lose those golden handcuffs, which is unfortunate because tech was once considered a secure career. But these layoffs have hit a major have hit our industry really hard. From startups to tech giants, doesn't matter. Really want to understand what's happening here, and in me focusing in me kind of dissecting the problem and trying to figure out what happened. Just curious, really, is not really going to help me in the future. I like to know what I'm facing. I've come across like four key uh, issues. One is, of course, the overhiring. They just these tech companies just overhired as much as they can. I think is the it was basically they had free money, or exceptionally cheap money, that they were able to just hire as many people as they could to demonstrate growth, because that's how they would improve their stock price, is to demonstrate that they're growing. So that's one. Number two is, um, since interest rates started to rise, there has been an economic downturn, and people have been cutting costs quite a bit. A lot of that starts with innovation. Unfortunately, it's kind of the whole term "keep the lights on." We just want to keep the lights on. That means we're not installing new lights. We're just keeping the lights on that already exist. We're not expanding. We're not innovating. We're just keeping the lights on. Another element to this mix is the introduction of AI and automation, and just really the ability to reduce the need for some roles. There once upon a time a 10-year 10-year veteran in the industry was more valuable than somebody who's been in for 2 3 years, because they just know more, they've been through more, they've experienced more. But I mean, it's arguable, but I will say that that gap is starting to close, where someone with 2 3 years in can rely heavily on AI to help them build software applications, and the code's probably not going to be as good. No, the code's probably not going to be as robust. No, it's probably not going to be as scalable, but it'll be done. And sometimes that's all that your leadership cares about, is that it's done. Um, they really don't care if it's resilient. Well, for the most part, it eventually comes to and bites them. like, oh, we should have did this the right way because now we're on these incident calls every Monday morning. And why didn't we do this the right way? Well, bud, because you wanted to go the quick, cheap way. That's why it's that's why you're in these meetings. But back to what I was saying. AI and automation are kind of closing the gap between somebody who's 10 years in versus somebody who's 3 years in. So that's also part of the whole layoff. And then I'm not even counting the companies who are actively trying to replace people with AI. I mean, that's another story. I don't think they're going to be successful, but I mean, we'll see. Maybe a little bit. They'll have some short term success, and they'll be able to go, hey, look what I did. Put that in LinkedIn. But again, 5 years down the road, they're going to have to hire me, who and hopefully I'm still around and I'm not working on in working as a gardener or something because I decided that I was tired of all this. But they're going to have to hire me or someone like me to come in and fix these issues. And finally, a lot of these companies are shifting their priorities around. Again, not really interested in innovation. They're more interested in keeping the lights on, and um, as opposed to acquiring, new users or new customers. Maybe they're shifting and focusing on their existing user base. Whatever the case may be. There's no longer a gluttony of software engineers needed to um, demonstrate a successful company. So if you think your high paying job with the golden handcuffs is untouchable, think again. Many developers are realizing that they have less control over their careers than they thought. Like I said in my previous podcast, like we are no longer in charge, unfortunately. So whether you want to leave your job or you might be forced to leave your job, here are some steps that I've come up with. I've written down to try to prepare for this transition. The first thing I'm doing is I'm taking control of my finances. I'm really focusing on my budget to see exactly where my money goes. Exactly where my money goes. I'm also taking a look at all my retirement accounts because I've amassed, I want to say, 7 or 8 different retirement accounts. I think it's time to consolidate those into one, maybe two. I want to continue to diversify, but I really need to take a look at my money situation and see exactly where all my money goes. Another thing I plan to do is diversify my skills. I started to think maybe if I move into architecture or it's like system architecture, system design, I'll be satisfied. But it's just software engineering without the coding. I mean, it's just software engineering without the fun part for me. So I don't think that's really a path I want to take. So there's also UX. UX seems promising, but it feels like again it's just software engineering without the fun part. I really did like coding. I really did like writing code. I felt that it was something that I can do to produce something. Let's say it didn't exist until I wrote code, and now it exists. Now you have a product that exists now because I'm able to produce code and solve these complex problems. Using first of all my coding skills, and then I started to adopt frameworks and what have you. But with UX, you don't really get that anymore. You get that fulfilling. You don't really get that feeling of being able to create something that didn't exist yesterday. So I don't think UX is an option for me either. We'll see. We'll see where I want. I'm looking at. I'm actually thinking about maybe adopting an approach to AI. It feels like, like everybody said, AI is the future and you're going to be left behind. I already feel a little left behind, and I'm not even sure if I want to maintain a career in software. I guess only time will tell. I've actually started looking at gardening. Just to go back to that, I have a couple opportunities to work in some type of landscaping capacity, but again, really going to be cutting my salary in half, maybe even more than half. Am I willing to make a change to my lifestyle? Is it even possible? If I can, I'll be really proud of myself. If I can't, then I guess I'll be on the job market with everyone else looking for a job. We'll see. But I'm I don't really want to be behind a keyboard anymore. Perhaps there's an opportunity for me to work outside and maintain my technical abilities, maybe through like Internet of Things, um, and irrigation systems. Who knows? But like, there's something else for me out there, and I feel it is not my daily tasks. Although I am good at my daily tasks, it just I stare at my screen, I stare off into space more than anything. So I plan to diversify my skills. I do plan to start a side hustle, i.e., podcast and blog, so I can get at least into writing once again, and my ability to communicate with the spoken word. So that is a side hustle that I plan to pursue. Plus, there's also like for other folks, there's a lot of opportunities out there to start a side hustle. I mean, I see them constantly coming across my my inbox. Um, I've tried a few of them, and I just haven't really put in the full effort. But they definitely seem promising. And finally, the last thing I need to do is I really need to start networking again and kind of staying informed. Um, Specifically now, more than any, the fact that we spend most of our time at home in our offices, it's probably not healthy for someone to spend this much time in isolation. So it's definitely in the cards to begin networking once again and just kind of being involved with the community once again. I would say that's probably one of the things that you can't ignore going forward. So in closing, my son just walked in. He is also someone who tried technology but decided it wasn't him. But he figured that out early in his life. He figured that out in his 20s. I'm so jealous. He actually just got home. He is in the trades. He is an electrician, and I can't wait to hear about his day. So just to reiterate what we discussed today, one was the golden handcuffs. They feel secure, but they aren't. Whether you choose to stay in your current role or prepare for the shift, it's crucial to think ahead and take more control of your career before someone else does, and they'll take control for you. So finally, thanks for tuning in to the podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share your thoughts with me. Like, comment, and subscribe. Are you staying in tech? Let me know. Are you planning to exit? Are you bracing for a layoff? Let's keep this conversation going, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and God bless.